Khabib Nurmagomedov beats Dustin Poirier in the third round via rear naked choke at UFC 242. This is the battle camp. Please hit the subscribe button. You'll find it in the bottom right hand corner of this screen. So before I talk about the fight itself, I think it's only fair I should tell you guys what I thought would happen during this fight, because I didn't get around to making the preview video. I didn't get around to the video because it's just been a fucking busy week, man. I went on holiday this week, so I spent hours working, just getting everything ready, so everything's covered off at work while I'm away. And then on holiday, I was drunk most of the time, so I just couldn't make a video about it. But I'm here now. So this fight, when it was announced, and with the recent run of form that Dustin Poirier's been on, I thought this would be Khabib's toughest ever fight. I thought Dustin Poirier would expose areas in Khabib's game, chinks in his armor that we hadn't seen before. And I'm not talking about things that, oh shit, Khabib really needs to improve on this, or Khabib's really bad at that. I didn't realize this was the case. More of the fact that Dustin Poirier, for me, is such a high level fighter, and his heart, his courage, his self-belief, to me, is second to none. And I felt that he's just a brilliant fighter, and he would be able to do things in that octagon against Khabib that we haven't seen before. I don't even know what. I don't know. Like, I suppose in my head, I thought that Dustin Poirier would, rather than trying to stay on the outside and avoid being taken down, he would almost press Khabib, and he would be able to give Khabib something to think about during exchanges on the feet. I figured if Khabib took Dustin Poirier down, he wouldn't be able to just maul him and manhandle him like he has everyone else. I figured Dustin would perhaps attack from the bottom. I figured Dustin would perhaps, just through sheer grit and determination, get the fuck up. I figured this fight would show us things in Khabib's game that we haven't seen before. Bearing in mind, if we look at Khabib's career in the UFC, the two things that we cling on to as fans are Al Iaquinta went 5 rounds with him, and Johnson knocked him down. Those are the two things that we've got as fans to say there's hope for Khabib's opponents. There's an opportunity to beat this guy because Al Iaquinta went fucking 5 rounds with him, because Johnson got a flash knockdown. That's all we have as fans. Now think of any other fighter in the UFC, past and present, that's been knocked down and it's been made a big deal of. That's gone 5 rounds, and we look at that as an opportunity to say, this guy can be beaten. He went 5 rounds. Like that is the level that Khabib is at. So I figured there'd be more of this sort of evidence that this fight would produce. I thought it would go the distance, and I thought Khabib would win on points. Obviously, that's not what happened, but that is kind of, in my head, that's how I saw the fight going. Now, the fight itself, I was surprised at how dominant Khabib looked. It wasn't a case of what and how. It was just a case of when and how, in terms of the outcome of the fight. I wasn't sitting there watching it thinking, what will happen and how will the winner win? It just from the outset looked like, when will Khabib win and how will it happen? Does that make sense? if you look at the, I think it was the second round where Dustin Poirier had Khabib in a guillotine choke. So I was flying back Saturday night, so I didn't watch the fight live. And before I saw the fight this morning, I listened to Dustin Poirier's post-fight press conference, and I listened to the fight companion. And Dustin Poirier talked about the guillotine choke and Joe Rogan's reaction to the guillotine choke during the fight companion. I kind of already knew watching the fight that this wasn't a situation that Khabib was panicking in. Does that make sense? This wasn't a close call. It was just, all right, I'm in a guillotine choke at the moment. I'm just going to do this and I'll get out of it. And maybe that's because I hadn't watched the fight before this other exterior stuff had gone on. I know since Khabib has said that the choke was in tight and he panicked a little bit. But again, this is a situation that all fighters have been in during a fight. And if they win, we don't sit there and assess it. We don't sit there and say to ourselves, oh, look, that's a hole in Fighter X's game, and that's an opportunity for future opponents to exploit. The part in the second round where Dustin caught Khabib with his hands, we got excited, as we would have. I mean, if I watched it live, I would have got excited. Oh shit, fucking hell, he's hit him, he's hurt. But how did Khabib react to that? Do you know what I mean? Like, he just did what he meant to do. He got on his bike, regained his composure, got his wits about him, and just carried on doing what he does. Like, Khabib, for me, at the moment, is genuinely unbeatable. Like, there's no one I can think of that can beat him. For me, I think he should be the pound for pound best fighter in the world. Like, he's fighting in one of the most stacked divisions. And the way he's beating opponents, it's not even fucking close. Like, after the Tony Ferguson fight, he's literally clocked the game. There's nothing or no one else. Perhaps Justin Gaethje. But, like, I can't think of a single fighter at this moment where I sit there and think, oh, this fight is like 60-40. Even fucking like, even 70-30. I'll talk about Tony in a bit. But looking at Dustin Poirier, he's literally grown up in front of our eyes, has Dustin Poirier. Like, when he entered into the UFC, I believe he was in WEC before that. Let me just double check this because I don't want to lie to you guys. Yeah, he was. So he came over after the UFC kind of amalgamated the WEC into the UFC. But before that documentary he was in, like, we saw what he was like as a young 18, 19, 12, whatever, however old he was. And his progression, his evolution as a man and a fighter. This is what I love about the sport. Like, he's gone from a street kid with like no direction. And there was elements of that during his time as a UFC fighter, like while he was a featherweight, to where he is now. He's a man. He's not just a man, but he's a man that fucking has a charity. He's an elite. For me, he's an elite fighter. He's a very, very high level fighter. And just the way he holds himself, just the way he talks and expresses himself, just his values and what he fucking stands for. Like, this guy's a deserving fucking champion. Like, you want someone like this to be a champion. He fucking deserves it. But it's just his bad luck that he's fighting in an era that Khabib's in. Like, any other era, he'd be up there, and he'd be in a title fight, and it would be a competitive title fight any other era as a lightweight. With him now, with the skill set that he has now, like he's beaten ex-champions. He beat Eddie Alvarez. He beat Pettis. Like if he fought Tony Ferguson, I don't know who'd win that. It's just his bad luck that he's in this era, and it's a shame because as fans, as sports in general, you rank someone's ability or accomplishments by the honors that they get during their career. So Dustin Poirier, if he never becomes a champion, won't be spoken about as someone that was fucking great. And he is fucking great. But it's just because it looks like now that he won't be a lightweight champion unless Khabib retires tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's a shame because we shouldn't forget how good fighters are just because they've never become champions, just because they're unlucky that in the era that they were operating, just kind of a 1 in a billion fighter came along and just dominated that division during that period. It's a shame, man. And this charity of his, man, he does so much good work. And Khabib, you know, offering to auction off the t-shirt, what a nice touch that was. And fucking hell, Dana White, come on, man. Like, I'll match the amount that Khabib raises. Fucking put your hand in your pocket. Give this charity some fucking money. Like you guys should be championing the fact that this guy has a charity. Like, this charity name and brand or whatever, that should be on the canvas during UFC events. And whatever money you guys usually make from these sponsors, you should be donating to the charity for the privilege of having that charity's badge or logo on your canvas. Like, this is bigger than fucking money and like commercial success and fighting and sports. Like, this is like he's literally changing people's lives. You lot should want to be a part of that, and you guys should be promoting that, in my mind anyway. Like, but what do I know? I'm not a fucking millionaire or a businessman. But like, the fight itself, I don't want to say I was disappointed by the fight. Maybe I just kind of got excited by Poirier's progression. Maybe I got sucked in by the way he was speaking before the fight. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he was lying, or I'm not saying that he was not being realistic. I still think everything he said before the fight stands true after the fight. It's just he came up against a man that is going to go down as one of, if not the greatest mixed martial artists ever. It's just as simple as that. I don't want to see Dustin Poirier retire. Obviously, if he does, you know, that's it. That's his prerogative. But I still think he's literally like, it's him, it's Khabib, and it's Tony Ferguson. Like, for me, those are the best fighters in that division. But yeah, I suppose that's my recap. It's a lot longer than I thought it was. But then again, I did start off talking about my predictions as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. What do you make of the stuff that I've said in this video? Comment on that. Ask questions. Tell me I'm talking shit if you believe so. Say it nicely and I'll respond nicely. If you've enjoyed the video, share it with a friend. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the fucking like button. And if you're still here, like, if you haven't subscribed and you've sat here listening to me talking for 15 minutes, fucking hell, man, hit the subscribe button. Anyway, I'm going to be more active this week because I've made a note in my little book to say, make more fucking videos. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this week. So hopefully more shit happens for me to talk about. But until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.